Today, we are going to do a deep dive into something I think we've all been through, and that is breakups.
Yep.
I mean, they're never fun,
No, not at all.
but we've got some interesting stuff to look at today, some real relatable stuff.
Yeah.
You actually sent me some of your own personal notes, just like some brainstorming you did,
Right.
about getting over a breakup, which I think is amazing. Just 5 different ways to get over a breakup. But we're going to use those today, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, those are kind of just like off the cuff, but I think they're actually pretty representative of a lot of common coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And maybe some not so healthy, but we'll get into that.
So that's what we're going to dive into today, right? We're going to take these sort of like everyday ideas
Right.
and kind of look at them through a psychological lens.
Exactly.
Like, what's really going on when we try to distract ourselves or when we hit the gym extra hard?
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a lot of psychology behind these kind of common sense ideas.
Cool.
And I think it'll be interesting to unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just start with the first one on your list,
Okay.
which is distraction.
Right.
And in your notes, you specifically mentioned trying a new hobby.
Yes.
So like on the surface, that seems pretty simple,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, I'm sad. I need to keep myself busy.
Yeah, just keep your mind off of things.
Yeah. But is there something more to it than that?
I think there is. I think, at a basic level, it is about taking your mind off the pain, not dwelling on it. But there's also research that shows that engaging in new activities, especially ones that kind of give you a sense of mastery or accomplishment, can actually reduce rumination, which is that kind of like negative thought spiral that we can get caught in after a breakup.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like giving your brain a break.
So it's not just about escaping, but it's like almost retraining your brain?
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of shifting your focus to something more positive.
Cool. Okay.
Right.
So, but like anything, too much of a good thing can be bad.
Right.
Right. So at what point does distraction become unhealthy?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think distraction is definitely helpful, especially in those early stages when the pain is really raw. But, if you're constantly distracting yourself and never actually dealing with the emotions, it's going to catch up to you eventually.
Right.
It's kind of like if you have a physical injury, you can ice it to reduce the swelling.
Yeah.
But eventually you need to do the rehab to actually heal.
Yeah. You can't just avoid the gym of emotions forever.
Exactly.
Okay. What about leaning on friends and family? I know that's a classic for a reason. Like just surrounding yourself with people who love you.
Right. And there's a good reason for that. Our brains are wired for connection. And, when we're going through a tough time, that connection becomes even more important. So talking to someone who cares about you can really help. It helps you process what you're going through.
Yeah.
It makes you feel less alone. It can validate your experience,
Right. Like sometimes you just need that reminder that you're awesome, even if you don't feel like it.
Exactly.
Or just a hug from your grandma.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes a hug can go a long way.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this next one on your list, this is where things get a little bit interesting. You mentioned like the whole revenge body idea or like the glow up after a breakup.
Right.
Which on the surface could seem a little superficial. But, I think we both know there's more to it than that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's often this need to kind of reclaim your sense of self after a breakup, right? Breakups can really shake our confidence and leave us feeling lost. So focusing on self-care can be a way to kind of take back control. Like, whether it's fitness or a new look or just focusing on personal goals, it can be really empowering.
So it's less about getting back at the ex and more about getting back to yourself.
Exactly. It's about, redirecting that energy towards self-improvement and rediscovering your own strengths.
Right.
But it is important to make sure that it's coming from a place of self-love and not, a need to prove something to someone else.
Right. It shouldn't be about them at all.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So we've got distraction, we've got support systems, we've got self-care.
Right.
What about reflection? You mentioned that as being an important part of healing.
Yeah, I think reflection is really important for growth.
Yeah.
Taking the time to really understand what happened in the relationship, what you learned from it, and what you want for the future. That's all really key to moving forward in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So that might involve journaling, therapy, or just, having some honest conversations with yourself.
So not just like wallowing, but actually trying to make sense of things.
Right. It's not about dwelling on the past, but about learning from it. Like, what were the red flags you missed? Yeah.
What are your non-negotiables in a partner?
Right.
Those are the questions that can really help you turn heartbreak into something positive.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, and then your last point, which I think is a really powerful one, is about creating a vision for your future.
Yes.
So what does that look like, in terms of healing?
So it's about shifting your focus from what you've lost to what you can gain,
Mm-hmm.
right? So instead of dwelling on the absence of your ex, start visualizing the life that you want to create for yourself.
Yeah.
What are your goals? What brings you joy? What are you passionate about? This kind of forward thinking can be really powerful, and it helps you reframe the breakup as a stepping stone to something better.
Yeah. Okay. So we've covered a lot here. We've got distraction, leaning on your support system, self-care, reflection, and creating a vision for your future. It's a pretty powerful toolkit.
Yeah, I think so. And, there's no right or wrong way to heal. What works for one person might not work for another.
The key is to be kind to yourself, embrace the journey, and remember that healing takes time. There's no quick fix for this.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe instead of focusing on getting over the breakup, we could think of it as growing through it.
I love that.
What if this ending is actually the beginning of something even more amazing?
Yeah.
Something to think about. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been really insightful.
Thanks for having me.
And to all of you listening, take care of yourselves.
Yes.
And remember, you're not alone in this.
Absolutely.
I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.